So, hey guys, Chauzu here. So I record this video right after the treasure map ends. And I want to talk about the biggest news this day. It will be yesterday when this video goes up, which is the fact that it's confirmed that the next batch in One Piece Treasure Cruise will be the first Egghead batch, and most notably include the first Vegapunk legend, which will be Lilith, one of the Stellas. And yeah, I basically just want to talk about if Lilith herself will have any unique mechanics, and also if they somehow will start building a possible Vegapunk batch for the future. Both prospects are very interesting for me and will be the main thing I look at once we get the full Lilith info drop in a few days. First, I will say that it's perfectly reasonable that Lilith gets a new mechanic, since in the upcoming version update, which drops Tuesday morning for me, we will have some new features added for characters. So it could be Lilith, could be something for Global Annie or Forward, but the possibility exists for sure. But first, let's talk about Lilith herself. Could Lilith get some mechanic unique to her? And you can never rule it out, like who thought that Legend Sugar, for example, will get one of the most unique mechanics in the game, a character that not many care about. And then we have other interesting legends, like recently, for example, V2 Momo, who is better than I gave him credit for, but his captain ability is as bland as it gets. First, let's talk a bit about some examples, like units who have gotten several legends. We can see that Bandai have some trends with giving the same units similar kits when they get new iterations. Roger is an easy example. We got Roger Odin now, the second legend to include the ability to ignore the removal of positive effects from the enemy, the so-called Haki. So that's a very unique thing for Roger. Yamato was the first real bind resistant, and basically every Yamato resists bind removal. One exception, of course, is the versus Yamato, who is the spear instead, which is pretty funny, but also makes that versus Yamato a pretty good hybrid with other Yamato. We have all of the different Uta. Well, we have 3 different V1 Uta, and then we have V2 Uta. All 4 of them have the song buff, whatever you should call it, that is unique to them. And Kaido-wise, like this is the first Super Sugo Kaido, and Kaido often focuses on like one orbs and increased damage taken in particular. The ironic thing is that this Kaido got basically power crept by the newest Kaido, who is also strength, and also has basically the same kit with orb boost, increased damage taken, and a conditional, which resulted in me giving this Kaido very low points on my own tier list, even if I'm buffing him a bit this month, just a little bit. And for a bit more with special like Kizaru, his units usually focus on CD reduction to really focus on the speed. Kizaru in general often have low CD or multi-stage specials, you can use them fast. Captain ability usually have a lot of speed run as well, so really focus on the speed. The issue with Lilith in this conversation is that I don't think many of us imagine Lilith getting a lot of legends. Obviously, we don't know what will happen long term, but I don't think many of us imagine her having a super big part of the story after Egghead. And like so far in Egghead, like, do you really think she's getting more than one legend? Like, you can never rule out a second legend, especially for female One Piece Treasure Cruise characters. Like, you can always get like a Summerald, something like that. But in general, I don't think Lilith will have many legends, and I can't really think about anything special she's done that warrants any special mechanic. I should add here, though, that it's confirmed that Lilith will get a Super Evolution. So in that sense, we might get 2 distinct Lilith legends, since sometimes a 6+ is a totally different unit. The perfect example is this, as said before, Uta with the 6-star and 6+ being like night and day. And even if the kits are similar, like their uses are vastly different and the viability. What's more interesting for me in talks of Lilith and future Vegapunk units is more about the batch aspect. One Piece Regikus have more and more moved towards focusing on batches, and this is all built around like all of the super mechanics like the EX and such, also super tandems, rush, final tap, all of those have conditions which encourage you to use the unit with certain other units. We can take a few examples here. One early batch we had a while back, or a few years ago, was this Tobiroko batch with Who's Who, Black Maria and Sasaki, who have great synergy, super tandem with each other. You can remove different effects depending on which super tandem you activate. They even pair very well with the ulti and page 1 duo unit. So this is a batch they basically built at once. Sometimes they can build batches over time. The coolest example I'd say is the versus Kaido batch, where we got versus Kaido for last year's New Year Sugofest. And then half a year later, out of nowhere for the 9th anniversary, we got 3 units to go along with this Kaido in V2 Yak, V2 King, V2 Queen, and suddenly we have an incredibly good core, both for Super Boss, but this core is very good for most content to use. We obviously also have the Straw Hat cores, like we often use Gear 5 Luffy nowadays, the 6-star or the 6+, or both of them in hybrid, and that forces you to use more Straw Hats on the crew to use the EX. And we obviously got the Zoro Sanji. I saw that Subconsci listed them as the best lad in the game now, and if I did a more normal tier list, I'd probably also list them as that. They're absolutely insane. And also just had a very good Nami and Usopp to like fill out the list, like Robin could be here as well, of course, probably instead of the Usopp, just so you can get both conditionals. Yeah, just you see that it's very synergistic the way we build teams now, especially for stuff like Super Boss, but this is also very much relevant in most content. Take Power King Adventures, for example, with a unit like Roger Odin, which was a common friend captain for the current Power King Adventures. You had to fit specific units to let you use that EX, so it does affect team building in many ways. Also, most recently, we have the free-to-play Ace, which got first the Whitebeard and then the Marco. And yeah, I did a few extra mods for the Marco. I really want to try this combo. And I also want to give this Kisuna a real shot personally, but that's for another day. But yeah, also a very cool combo where Ace enables you to have multiple conditionals, gives the burn conditional. Marco can give the increased damage taken conditional. Whitebeard applies the increased damage taken to full immunity. Also gives a great chain boundary, like very great synergy. And any unit on their own might make it hard to use, but then it comes together to really work well. Can even put something like Yamato here, get some color affinity as well. Also be able to buff the increased damage taken. Like, there are a lot of options once you have a good core going. But the issue becomes like, what if you don't have a core or a batch, or if you don't belong to any of the popular categories? Well, we have a few stuff to talk about here. First, like, I think all of these are pretty good legends on paper, like the viability varies and such, but the main issue with all of these is that they have very few synergies with other units that makes it very hard to justify ever using them. Like the V3 Princesses legend, like, they are not bad. They can give some good buffs. They have super tandem with the Straw Hats, but they themselves don't help bring the synergy. They have synergy with them, but the Straw Hats don't have synergy with the V3 Princesses, which makes them hard to use. Bonnie as well. Main issue is that she's a fighter focus unit despite being free spirit, but not bad on paper. But currently there's basically nothing that pairs with Bonnie. Will probably change in Egghead. We're getting V3 Bonnie, but it looks of it is very weak. Hawkins as well, not bad. I've used him quite a bit. I know a lot of people think he's bad. He's not. It's just that what reason is there to use a Hawkins. Like, he's solid, but if you use him, you lose the potential to use another unit who has better synergy with the team you use. And then we have basically every Boa. Boa is really shafted in this game. Like, there's so many units and such, but she has like no support. She has no synergy with anything else. So, like, outside of like the Halloween Boa, like, you never use Boas in general. Roger Odin is a bit more controversial, but I wanted to use them as an example that even if you have synergy, doesn't mean that it's going to be worth it long term. Like, Roger Odin's synergies are mainly with Scabbards, a bit with Whitebeard Pirates as well. And like, long term, what do we expect from them? Like, they're not going to get a lot of units. Even right now, building, say, Super Boss teams around Roger and Odin is steep, to say the least, and I do feel like they are going to age pretty poorly, at least in that damage aspect, but also just general team building. I have a hard time seeing a future where it's like, oh yeah, I'm going to use Roger Odin for this content, they are perfect for it. Maybe, I don't expect that to happen often. So, on with Lilith and the Vegapunks. Obviously I can't show a picture with Lilith and such, but I do really hope that the Bandai right now are already planning for like a specific Vegapunk batch long term. Like, imagine every Stella will get a legend, and it would be cool that instead of being standalone legends, they try to make all of them work together. And since the Stellas are connected to like one mind, a hive mind or something, it would be cool if all of them had some ability in the captain or the special that like amplifies or have some good synergy when you use like another one of the Stellas, and maybe like even being so that if you have like 6 different ones, like that's a lot better than only having 1 or 2. I'm really interested to see if they do something like that. What I'm mostly afraid of with Lilith is that she will be completely isolated because she has nothing, she has no other Stella right now. Like, what even will they do? Like, I really hope they don't give her a super tandem or something, because what would be the units on that? Like I can imagine her getting a final tap, because that's more standalone. You can have like HP requirements or just works on final stage, doesn't have to be deeper than that. But they really need to try to either future-proof her, so you have like, if you need Vegapunks to use her super, for example, then it already has all of the Vegapunks. If not, it should be maybe class-based. Like, I imagine that a potential Vegapunk batch will be Cerebral mainly. And I think that would be very cool, because we haven't got that much Cerebral love for a long time. So it could be very cool if you got a really viable Vegapunk Cerebral core to use in like Super Boss or Parking Adventures, other content. But yeah, that's just me rambling a bit about Lilith and Vegapunks and synergy in the game for 30 minutes. And I feel like I've said what I wanted to say, so thanks for watching, guys. See you next time.